Welcome back to the Varsity Squad Show. I'm your host, Sheldon.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Landon.
How we doing, guys? Friday. Once again, it's the end of the week. You guys got any weekend plans?
I'm not sure yet, dude. I definitely want to catch some NBA basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Now that started.
NBA and NFL. It'll be a great weekend for sports.
It's a good time in the year.
Oh, yeah. Landon, what about you?
I'm just refing and then church, so not much.
Yeah, it's a great weekend, though. Of course, I'll have a game tonight, and I'll have games literally all day tomorrow.
Nice.
So definitely a fun weekend to look forward to. Hopefully we don't have rain because, like I said last week, last Saturday, all my games got canceled for the most part. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Daniel, take us right into our recap.
All right, in AIA girls volleyball, ALA Gilbert North went up against Eastmark, and they were able to beat them in the fifth and final set. Perry was able to pull off an upset against Hamilton, with Hamilton losing every set played. Highland was able to squeeze by Gilbert in the fifth and final set, winning 15-12. Gray Hills Academy couldn't keep it close, losing to Hopi in all three sets by an average deficit of 13. Oof, it's a little rough. Now Landon's going to take us through the CAA.
In CAA volleyball, Phoenix College Prep dominated against Maricopa Institute of Technology, only allowing 16 points across 3 sets. Mission Heights Prep kept it really close with Southbridge and was able to get it done in the 5th set to give their team the win. In CAA soccer, Gila Bend played 91st Psalm Christian at home and was able to win 2-0. Heritage Academy Gateway was able to squeeze by Heritage Academy Mesa, winning 4-3. And finally, Mission Heights Prep beat Phoenix College Prep 6-5.
Awesome, great games going on around the valley the last couple days. Last night I did do the Maryvale Mission Heights Prep game, in which Maryvale was hosting them. This was the last game of the season for both teams. I believe Maryvale was 7-1 going into it, and I believe Mission Heights Prep was 4-4. It was a great game. It was a slow start, really, for both teams. I think the first score was not till the end of the first quarter, and it was actually Mission Heights Prep scoring first. And then Maryvale was able to score twice before the half. They went into the half 14-6, and second half, Maryvale got the ball first, scored real quick, 20-6. I'm thinking, it's just gonna be another win for Maryvale because I had them last week too, and they blew out Gila Bend. But Mission Heights Prep said, we have other plans. They got a fumble recovery, and I think the next drive they had an interception, and they were able to tie it. Yeah, they tied the game 20-20, and then with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Maryvale Prep had the ball, and they had a really, really steady drive all the way down the field. They scored. Mission Heights Prep got the ball and turned it over on downs. But it was it was a great game for both teams. Very clean play. There wasn't a whole lot of penalties at all. I mean, the game was moving really, really fast because we didn't have to stop it to call. Listen to this. We had a penalty last night, and this is really the worst one we had. It was a block below the waist, which is, you can't block like that. But the kid was literally just going down to prevent himself from hitting the kid, and the kid just got tripped up. So it was the right call, but the kid had no intent of really actually blocking him below the waist, and that was the worst we had last night, and it was an accident, 100% an accident, because the kid was like, what did I do? I was just trying to get out of the way. I was trying to go down. And even the coach was confused, but once the coach, understood the call, he was like, that makes sense, you know what I mean? But a great game for both teams. Maryvale was really, really looking good going into the playoffs. And Mission Heights Prep, I don't know yet. They haven't been placed yet because there's still games going on today, or today and then tomorrow. I do want to say Mission Heights Prep. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but I hope they sneak a spot in there because you lose to one of the best teams by 6. They lost to Heritage Mesa a few weeks ago by 22-24 game, and to me it's like, man, they're so close to beating some of these top teams. And last night I really thought they were going to pull the game out because they had all the momentum with the 2 turnovers. They scored really, really quick, and they just looked like a really clean offense. Again, very clean game for both teams, and just a really, really good game to ref. And then tonight I'll have the Western School of Science and Harvest Yuma Prep. Another good game, kind of middle of the pack teams for both squads, but should be a really, really good defensive game, and both teams I already know have a good rushing attack. So a lot of running, a lot of wildcat, a lot of sweeps. So we'll just have to see how those games turn out tonight. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our CAA and AIA recap. Up next, we have an outstanding player to talk about, so don't go away.
Dude, I'm trying to,
I wasn't even looking at the clock.
I don't know what it is, but my eyes, I'm like,
I wasn't even looking at. Well, welcome back. Now it's time for our outstanding athlete. For our only athlete we're going to talk about today, we have Victoria Head from Xavier College Prep. Now, Xavier College Prep tennis standout Victoria Head is an asset for the Gators and refuses to let up. She is 7-0 on the season in her single matches, including 2 shutout victories. And she doesn't stop there. She also plays doubles following her single matches. Her outstanding performances continue to generate momentum. Much of her success is a result of mental preparation before a match begins. With any sport, it takes years of work behind the scenes before results really show out on the court. Now, the Head family is from England and has strong roots there. Victoria's mother, Caroline, is of invaluable help along with Victoria's tennis journey. They began playing together when Victoria was only 4 years old. Victoria Head's parents took her to Wimbledon, when she was younger, where she played a role in the choice of which played a role in her pursuit of tennis. Now, Victoria's Head enthusiastic leadership has had immense impact on the team, and is something that even her mother has learned from. With this in mind, Victoria Head knows she has a chance to make the varsity team, but she's going to stick to JV until her freshman season is over. Now, guys, what do you guys think about Victoria?
I mean, she's a freshman, so I find it amazing. And it's always awesome to see these young athletes like come in on their first year and just kill it.
Oh, yeah.
Play at that varsity level, and even there, like against the highest level in high school,
Right.
they still perform really well and do like put up good numbers in their sport, you know.
So with just her playing JV for her freshman year, do you think it's smart for her to maybe hold back until maybe she's a sophomore or junior to play varsity?
Yeah, I think that's super smart and very impressive on her part to be mindful of like that decision. Because most, I think, would be like, oh yeah, put me varsity, let's go.
Right.
Let's do this.
You know, any opportunity. She's 7-0, so I mean, surely she's deserving of, you know, to play against the best, because obviously she's two shutout victories, so she's smoking everybody at the JV level. Now, I mentioned, you know, she's from England. Her mother, you know, put a racket in her hand when she was 4 years old. I mean, 4 years old, I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know many people playing any sport since they were 4 years old. So do you think this has been a beneficial thing for her, Lana?
Definitely, because, I mean, it's good to start young because it gets you in the habit of forming love for that sport.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's a great idea to start young, and her starting at 4 years old is crazy. I mean, I didn't start at 4 years old, so I mean, her starting at 4 years old is definitely something. And her coming off and 7-0 already as a freshman, it's impressive because, you know, she has great things for herself in the future. So.
Oh yeah, and obviously, you know, there's a season in the spring as well for the AIA, so maybe we'll see her play varsity then, or maybe she'll play JV again. I mean, surely she can play whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I guess we'll just have to see what she chooses.
And at some point, we'll definitely see her in varsity.
Yeah.
Next year for sure.
Certainly. And I do want to mention she does have a 4.0 GPA, and you know, freshman year can be really, really tough for some kids because they're so used to middle school, and they're used to, I mean, middle school grade-wise can be very easy sometimes. So when you go to high school, you might be,
it's a big difference.
You know, lacking a little bit, but you know, she's killing it. 4.0 GPA, and she favors, you know, how she does in the classroom just as well as she. I mean, she's doing great. She's perfect in everything right now. Her grades, her record. I mean, she's got a lot of great things going for her, and she's only a freshman.
At Xavier Prep too. That's a tough school.
Oh yeah, sure. Now, Landon, you had a game last night, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about it for a minute. So
it was different for one because it's a game on Thursday.
Right.
So,
Thursday night football.
Yeah, and it was new. It didn't really feel like a game in the beginning just because like it wasn't Friday. Mm-hmm. And like it wasn't Friday Night Lights.
Kind of a short week of preparation.
Yeah, so I mean, and the practices before that was a little, it felt weird.
Right.
But the game itself went great. We won 32-0. Our defense was on locks.
Multiple interceptions.
Yeah, I believe they only got maybe 6 first downs the whole game, and multiple interceptions. We had a blocked punt, returned all the way.
Oh wow!
And then we had another one where we made a fumble in the end zone, and we fell in it and scored. We had a bunch of fumble recoveries. I had a touchdown. Mm-hmm. It was close because I had to toe tap it, but got my first touchdown of the season, which I'm pretty excited for. But it was a great game. Now, there was a lot of talk before the game, and there was predictions that Algo Frio was going to beat us.
And an upset?
Yeah, and everyone thought they were going to beat us, but
Not even close.
we came out and proved them wrong. So yeah, it was a great game.
So I caught, most of the fourth quarter because I, of course, had a game and I had to jet straight over. The first thing I saw, maybe in a ref, I saw 7 refs on the field.
Yeah, there was
So
7
what
refs.
was that experience?
It was, saw everything.
Yeah.
Every single
Every
thing that
single
could be
thing.
possibly seen, they saw it, which I am glad for because, I mean, I don't think they missed a call. They were calling like the things that you could see blatantly. I mean, I don't
Right.
think there was a call that was just like little and they'd miss it. Like they'd see everything. on the
Right,
field.
because and I know kind of how the 7-man crew works. Every guy's got their one thing they're watching. The two deep wings that are watching the outside receivers. They watch everything they do. They don't care if the play's out of bounds on the other side. They're still watching that guy because if that guy, let's say he holds, let's say there's a punch, anything. I mean, they got to catch that. Whereas you got 4 refs or 5 refs, it can be kind of tough to watch 22 guys. So when you got 7, it's so organized, and that's just when I saw it, I'm like, this is a 32-0 ball game. Why would the AIA, put 7 guys in this game? But I think that's something we're going to see more and more of because, I think of the Valley Vista game. How many things were missed and were called that should not have been called, and how many mistakes were made that game by the referee crew, which could have been avoided had you. I never want to say you need different refs in that game, but possibly different refs or 7 guys. So, but 7-man crew may be a future for the AIA if they can get more officials. Obviously, we need more officials. But so if you guys ever need a job, they're hiring. I promise you.
Does having more refs help the flow of the game a lot?
I think so.
And
I mean-
obviously more calls get
Right.
seen, not so much missed.
Right, and I think just the communication of the game is a lot better for the refs because you're not, for instance, if you have a ball go out of bounds deep or something like that, and you need a new ball in, those guys just swing the ball around, they get the new ball in, set the ball, we can get it going again. We don't have to wait for that ball that's deep to be brought back to the line of scrimmage. We can get it off the field, get it back to the ball boy, and we can get the new ball in. And those are just the little things that they increase the game speed, the flow of the game. It wasn't a very long game at all. Obviously, 32-0, you guys ran the ball a lot, but had a good flow to the game.
Yeah.
So glad you guys could get the win after a tough loss to Canyon View. And I'm glad Roman, your quarterback, played very, very well.
He
Very well.
stepped up amazing.
As a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
Played very, very well.
And that was his first game ever playing like a full 4 quarters,
Awesome.
and he was a stud.
Oh, yeah. So, guys, that's going to wrap up our Outstanding Athlete and a little bit about Landon's game segment. Up next, we have another segment to talk about, so our AIA and CAA report. So don't go away.
Landon's game.
Welcome back. Now it's time for our AIA and CAA report. A lot of games going on tonight around the Valley. We'll start with our AIA football. Millennium will play at district rival Verado. That'll be a tough game. Boulder Creek will play number 9 Centennial. The number 1 ranked Liberty will play at Mountain Ridge. Valley Vista will play at Sandra Day. Sandra Day is ranked number 15 in the state. And then number 13 Queen Creek will play at number 14 Red Mountain. Should be a great game there. Daniel, tell us about our CAA football coming up tonight.
All right, CAA, we got Gila Bend on the road again this time at James Madison Prep. Harvest Yuma Prep will visit Western School of Science and Technology. Berean Academy will visit Ajo High. And over the weekend, El Dorado will go to Heritage Academy Maricopa. Keep in mind, this is the end of the regular season, and many teams will be gearing up for playoffs. Now, Sheldon, tell us about CAA High School flag going on tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, so we have CAA High School flag playoffs starting tomorrow. We'll have the brackets and the champions tomorrow at ASU West. Out of the 12 total teams in CAA High School flag, only 8 made the playoffs. The bracket will feature teams from both the Cactus and Roadrunner division. Now the championship will be played at 7:45, and I will be one of the 3 officials working that game. So guys, I'll be on that game. I'll be doing the entire bracket actually. I'll start with the final 8 teams, and we'll go to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then of course the championship. And I can't wait.
You get to watch it all.
Last year I didn't get the championship game. I worked up to the semifinals. So this year, get the final game, and I couldn't be more happy about it. Talking about CAA football, we're at the end of the season, so tonight could be a really, really big night if you lose a game. But if you win a game, it could be a really big night because it could push you into the playoffs. Who do you guys anticipate maybe possibly winning it all for the CAA? I got Skyline Prep. I'm just throwing it out there. I got Skyline to win it all.
I mean, Skyline Prep's been killing it, man.
Oh, yeah. But there's so many good teams. I mean, there's so many good teams outside of them.
It's been pretty even so far this season.
I think so. A lot of teams with 1 loss.
Yeah.
But Skyline is the only undefeated team. So, of course, they're going to be the favorite to win their division. Mm-hmm. Heritage Academy Mesa, again, they took a big loss last week to Superstition. And Mesa, before that game, was a team that I thought was going to win it too. Again, they play in the Division 2. Skyline's in Division 1.
Superstition's also very good too.
Superstition might win it. Surprise might win it. I mean, this is a competitive bracket. We're gonna see form. Obviously, I think next week is the start of the playoffs. No games have been put out yet, but once we get those brackets, in full, we might see some really, really good matchups. The next few weeks.
We'll see if Skyline can finish the undefeated season, though.
I-
That's hard.
I don't see it. I don't see them losing. Just
That's hard,
what I've seen from them this season, what they've done against every team. I mean, you know what I mean. Now their closest game was against Maryville Prep, in which they won 30-22. Maryville Prep, again, I had them last night. They're a really, really good team. Their offense is very balanced. Their defense is very, very good when it needs to be. But again, Skyline Prep could have been an off game for them. They usually put up 60 a game, so 30 is like, it's kind of mid. But they literally all year I feel like we were just saying 66-0, 60-0, 50-0 for their games over and over again because that's what they were doing to these teams. Mm-hmm. And flipping over to the AIA, not a whole lot of tough matchups this week. And at least the top 5 ranked teams, they're all playing.
Yeah, Liberty's playing
Teams that aren't ranked.
Yeah, so it's
Mountain Ridge.
Dubs.
Easy dubs. I don't anticipate much movement in the power rankings for the AIA. Mm-hmm. But who knows? I've seen stranger things happen.
Millennium plays Verado, which is cool.
That's going to be
very, very good game. That's a rivalry game. It's Verado, Westview were the biggest teams in Desert Edge, of course. Were always the rival teams when I played at Millennium, or when I went to Millennium. And those games were always the most highly attended games from the fans and the students because, it's fun. You want to see a good rivalry. And I believe both teams are going into this game 3-3, which is not too good, but who knows? I think Millennium's still a very, very good team. Verado, again, you played them throughout the summer in 7-on-7, right? Mm-hmm. You know how good they are. So,
yeah.
How many games do you have left in your season?
3.
Just because I know that, so 3. So just about 3 weeks probably, and the rest of the AIA as well for games. And then we'll have playoffs for them too. Is it just me, or does it seem like such a fast season? I mean, just
The
sped
season
by.
flew by.
Flew by.
It's flown by for sure.
I know, it's certainly been a long season, a lot of rain delays and cancellations of games and all kinds of stuff going on. But it's been a great season, I think, for both the CAA, the AIA, and for the CAA high school flag playoffs, which is tomorrow. And that's blown by too.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how those tournaments, those brackets end up on Saturday. Can't wait to see how these games end up tonight. And I don't know, I just love football, guys. I can't wait to see some high school football this weekend.
Rounding out the season, dude, it's a fun time.
Oh yeah, it's always exciting. Playoffs is always exciting. It's sad in a way because the season's ending,
Season's over.
but you see some of the best football played all year, and there's just nothing better in it. But guys, that's gonna wrap up our AIA and CAA report. Can't wait to see how some of those games end up. Up next is our In the Big Leagues Pro Sports report, so don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for our In the Big Leagues Post Sports Report. Let's start things with our Sun Scoop. Well, the Phoenix Suns kicked their season off against the Dallas Mavericks, which came to town Wednesday night. And if you watched this game, you would have seen one of the worst starts for home opener the Suns have ever had. They were down 62-45 at the break, and we were having flashbacks from the playoffs last year in which Chris Paul and Devin Booker were on a dry spell, which was cast by Luka Magic. But the second half was a different story. outscoring the Mavericks in the third quarter, 31-19, and inching closer and closer to taking the lead. Finally, late in the fourth quarter, the Suns found themselves up. Their first lead of the game, 100-99. Damian Lee, a previous backup guard for the Warriors last year, was clutch, scoring 8 consecutive points for the Phoenix Suns, 2 3-pointers, and the game-winning shot. With the ball in his hands, the clock running down, hit a 10-foot mid-range jumper to push the Suns up 107-105. Now, with no timeouts left, the Mavericks were forced to race down the court. Luka put up a contested three-pointer and rimmed out. They didn't make it. Now, down by as many as 22 points, this is the biggest comeback the Suns have had since December of 2017. Guys, I'm gonna say I watched most of the game, and that first half was brutal. No one was hitting their shots. Nothing was going their way. But second half, again, different story. Outscoring the Mavericks 31-19 in the third quarter. They look like a different team. Devin Booker found his shot. They were passing the ball a lot better, and Luka was just getting clamped by Cameron Payne. Okay. So, what do you guys think about the game and the start of the season?
It's pretty exciting that they're starting it off by coming back. I mean, I feel like all Suns fans were kind of losing hope when they were down by that much in the beginning.
Right.
But them coming off and seeing that their team is going out and winning by making a huge comeback, I think there's a lot in store and a lot to come for the Suns this season.
One thing I have to mention, which was weird to me, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Chris Paul set the bench. He sat the bench. He stayed in his spot the rest of the game. Damian Lee was really, really good. But to me, I would if I'm an owner, I'm not benching Chris Paul for Damian Lee for any reason. I mean, he was clutch. It was his first game with the new team. But with Chris Paul sitting the bench, what do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts?
That is definitely super weird, considering he's one of the stars on the team.
Yeah. And if not the first player, he's second.
Yeah, to bench one of your stars during the crunch time of the game is super strange. But I think there might have been some good reason behind it this time.
Possibly.
Because, Chris Paul wasn't putting up huge points, right?
No, I think he only had
Throughout
six points. I think 1 for 6 on the field, and it wasn't a very good performance, in the first 3 quarters. But still, we know Chris Paul is very, very clutch sometimes in the fourth quarter. So to bench him with 7 minutes left and put Damian Lee in there was just, I don't know. Obviously, they won the game, so it was a good choice because they won the game. But down the season, I hope we don't see that more and more because Chris Paul was he had a rough preseason, a rough first start of the game, first game of the season, but he's still an asset to the team, and he can still help us win. Now, guys, enough with the Suns. They got their win. Guess who else won the game? Cardinals, baby.
Let's go.
Beating the Saints 42-34. What do you guys think? Thursday Night Football, the last 2 weeks has been, like you said, you were saying off air, dead. It's been horrible.
It's been awful.
I think 1 touchdown in the last 2 games out of those, the last 2 Thursday Night Football games. Last night was the complete opposite. A lot of scoring. It was a shootout game, and a game in which the Cardinals were able to outshoot the Saints. So.
And not just offensively, though. Defense played a huge part.
Oh, yeah. 2 pick six in the first half.
The pick sixes helped a huge amount. I don't think without the defense stepping up like that, Cardinals lose the game.
You get blown out.
Yeah, Cardinals.
Because the Saints had no problem moving the ball. They just found a problem at sometimes finding the end zone. And Andy Dalton threw 4 touchdowns for the Saints and 2 to the Cardinals. So, he had 6 touchdown game. That's pretty great. Kyler Murray, he threw 200 yards and a touchdown. I think he was 20 for 29, which is
he had a pretty good game.
Solid game.
Some solid runs, too.
Solid runs as well. D-Hop made his return last night. 10 receptions for 103.
Yeah.
Great game for D-Hop. I think it's great to have him back. Of course, we have Marquise Brown, who's going to miss 6 weeks due to that foot injury that he suffered last week. But, what timing to get DeAndre Hopkins back. And I do want to say, a few days ago, the Cardinals signed Robbie Anderson from the Panthers. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's not a big name receiver, but he's been okay. He's played with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield for his career, and Cam Newton. So you can't hate on him too much. He last game against the Panthers, he got kicked out of the game by his own coach.
Oh, nice.
And because he had 0 targets, 0 receptions, and he wasn't really getting any looks. And the Panthers just stink. And it reminded me of much of the Antonio Brown situation of last season, which he left the game and everything. But he's a Cardinal now. So do you guys think he's going to make an impact? He didn't have anything tonight. He didn't play much last night. So obviously it's adjusted that offense.
Yeah, I mean, that's another target for Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I think that's always good.
Sure. With
needs
Marquise
some good hands.
Brown, gonna be hurt for a few weeks. It really, really is tough. Now, Cardinals are now, I believe, 3-3.
3-4.
3-4. Man, almost 3-4. But how crucial is this win for the season? Because I mean, you go down 2-5 in that division, it's gonna be tough to.
Yeah, you go down 2-5. You lose to the Saints. Come on.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
And the Saints are now 2-5. The Saints, they were a team that I think everybody thought was going to be very, very good, and they're very, very mid-tier. But just a great win for the Cardinals. I do want to say one last thing about him. I did see early in the game, Kyler Murray went to the sideline, and him and Cliff Kingsbury were getting into it. And they were actually, like, blocking what Kyler was saying, because obviously he was using some pretty foul language. And they were getting into it. I mean, this is something we've seen throughout the year, a lot of frustration on Kyler's part. But this is the worst it's been, I think. They won the game, but is this, I mean...
They need to figure that out.
They have to figure it out.
Those are the two leaders. They should not be
Exactly.
arguing. They should be on the same page.
The coach and quarterback duo can be something that helps you win or helps you lose. And to me, that's been the thing that's kind of helped them lose. I think it's a problem with the coaching. I think Kyler's a stud. And we're not going to go to you because I know you hate on Kyler all the time. But to me, he's a stud. He can play.
Yeah.
And he signed his bag, so he's not going nowhere. I mean, he's locked in. The coach is replaceable. And you got to find that coach that fits Kyler perfectly. Again, they got to win last night, but, a lot of frustration on Kyler's part. So hopefully this is something that changes throughout the year. Now, guys, that's going to wrap up our In the Big Leagues Pro Sports Report. Up next, Would You Rather? So don't go away. Welcome back. Now it's time for Would You Rather. For our first scenario, guys, let's pretend you're a young player in the NBA. Would you rather A, be part of a rebuild, or B, be on a super team in which you don't play very many minutes? Would you rather?
That's interesting.
We know when you're rebuilding the team, you're really, really bad.
Yeah.
But, you know,
You're the focus.
you are the focus.
You get the minutes.
You're the experiment they're trying to, work on
They're
everything.
building around you.
Right.
I think I would choose a super team.
Really? You're ring chasing then, huh?
Partly ring chasing, partly to be in the same locker room as a bunch of star players.
Okay.
Because I think that would set up a great opportunity to learn and study under players who are already established.
Personally, and possibly fill those shoes once they retire or whatever. Landon, what about you?
I would definitely be part of a rebuild.
Be part of a rebuild. Why?
Just because if I'm on a team full of superstars compared to being on a team full of people that are trying to build something, I'd want to be with a team that's building something just because it's more minutes, more time, more stats. And I'm not just trying to have very few minutes
Right.
because I'm not going to be a ring chaser. I wouldn't want to be a ring chaser. I'd more so want to be
Build something.
build something to where you can get rings.
Right, and I couldn't agree more. I also agree with that. I think the Warriors, if you look back, that's what they did. Getting Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, that's what they did. And look at them now. They're still in their dynasty. They had Kevin Durant for a while, and now they are that super team because they put so much faith in their pieces, their draft picks, and we see where they are now. Whereas we see some of these young players going to these super teams like the Nets or the Lakers or the Warriors, and it can be very, very well. Of course, Damian Lee, he's now a Son, but
Yeah, that's a good example.
he was he was a rookie last year, and played his first year with the Warriors, won a ring, and we can't say he didn't have very much impact, but how much was he able to learn being under Steph Curry? So I do see both sides of it because you can learn a lot playing with those very, very good players, but then you're not really idolized, you're not very used the way you want to be used. Or if you look at the Thunder, the Spurs, those are teams in a few years I think can be very, very, very good because they've been rebuilding, and we've seen some of those young players stay loyal, say, okay, I want to trust the process. We're going to lose four seasons in a row and miss the playoffs four seasons in a row, sorry, but we'll make it next year. So, yeah, I agree with you, Lana. Okay, for our next scenario, would you guys rather play in the 6A division, the most competitive division in high school, or play, let's just say, maybe 1, 2, or 3A and just dominate? So maybe 6A, you're gonna struggle because you're playing against other top tier talent, or would you rather play at a lower division and just dominate the competition, put up crazy stats? What would you guys rather do?
As much fun as dominating sounds, I think I would go with the top talent in the 6A.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know actually. In high school, like we've said before, it doesn't matter what division you're in.
No, stats are stats.
Stats are stats.
I agree.
I guess domination sounds fun.
Thank you. I'm about to say that's what I'm going with. I'm gonna dominate all the way. If I can throw 5,000 yards against, no offense, but the scrubs compared to me, I'm gonna throw 5,000 yards. I mean, I'd rather throw 5,000 than 2,000 playing in 6A, because of course you want to play for the top teams in the state. You want to verse the top teams, but in high school you only got 4 years. It's fun to dominate for 4 years because if you don't go to college, you can say, hey, I threw 15,000 yards in high school. And then they say, well, why didn't you get a scholarship? Well, I'm not gonna talk about that. But hey, I threw 15,000 yards. I think that's so cool to talk about. Lana, what about you?
I'm definitely going with dominating.
Dominating.
Just because, I mean, like you guys said, coaches look at stats, numbers,
Right.
and it doesn't really matter how small your school is.
No.
So
If you score 5 touchdowns in a game, every game, I mean, what more fun could you have? I mean,
50 touchdowns in the season.
exactly. For our last one, I think this is fair considering we got playoffs starting soon. Would you rather be an underdog or a favorite to win?
I'd rather be a favorite because that
Be a
means
favorite to win. So you're defending yourself
the
basically.
team did something right
Okay.
to be favorited to win, obviously. So
Right.
on paper, you're the better team. Now that obviously that doesn't guarantee you're gonna win. So
just
you
high
better-
expectations.
Yeah, you better defend that.
Right. What about you, Landon?
I'd be an underdog.
Underdog,
Just because
okay.
I always try to shoot for, like, I say a great team and a not so great team. I'm gonna root for the not so great team, just because. I mean,
That's why you're a Bengals fan, right? I'm just kidding. Keep going.
you're
Sorry.
a Broncos fan, bro.
Had to sneak that in there. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, but wow, that was bad. But yeah, I just like the underdogs when it comes to games, just because I always like to see an upset. Always like to
Right.
see them do something no one else thinks can happen. Cause I don't know, I like a good underdog story, you know?
It's a more entertaining story.
Right. Now, I would say the underdog gets more credit for a win than, let's say the number 1, 2 team beating beating the 5 team or whatever. They're going to get more credit for the upset win. So I'm going to say the underdog as well, because just to credit, you're respected a lot more. And obviously, if you win that underdog game, you're proving to the world that you're better than what they say you are, and they're not as good as everybody says they are. So I'm also going to say underdog. And yeah. I guess that's going to wrap up Would You Rather. So that's going to wrap up our show today. Can't wait to see how those playoffs end up Saturday night in the CAA high school flag playoffs. Also tonight in the AIA CAA football games. Going to be a great weekend with a lot of football played. We'll see you guys next week.
Welcome to the update. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jai.
We're your next generation news network covering current world events, funny presidential moments, and the great things about Arizona. Thanks again for being with us here today. It's almost the weekend, so let's get right to it with the Haps with the Maps. Now it's kind of funny watching sides. You did this, so we're going to do that. For instance, Russia is complaining about the U.S. prosecuting Russian nationals for alleged sanction violations. Meanwhile, Russia is scooping up people, including sometimes just children, to take them back to Russia against their will. War sure does bring out the greed and maliciousness in people. In Russia, as with most countries who oppress those who speak out, civilians continue to be jailed over their protests against the war. Now, one of Russia's most prolific detainees is opposition politician Alexei Navalny. Now, he was already in prison since before the war started and was jailed for campaigning against corruption in Russia. He was poisoned with a nerve agent back in 2020, and after receiving treatment and returning home to Russia, he was promptly arrested. The Kremlin have denied any involvement in the poisoning incident. However, it has not stopped them from putting him in jail and, get this, possibly adding another 18 years to his sentence for promoting terrorism and extremism while in prison. To add to Alexei, on just September 21st, over 1,300 people were arrested, and on the 24th, another 848. Now, back in March, at the beginning of the war, more than 5,000 people were arrested for protesting. The only difference now is the number of detainees is made up of more than 51% of females. Now, this is because the men have been fleeing Russia in order to avoid the war. These are uncertain times for sure. Jai?
Thanks, Tiff. Now in Ukraine, citizens in the Kherson region are being either deported or evacuated depending on which side you're on. According to Russian authorities installed in the eastern areas of Ukraine, around 15,000 people have listened to their advice to evacuate the area, while the Ukrainian authorities are denouncing the measure as deportations. That's quite the difference there. Not really a gray area. Either you're being taken against your will or you're voluntarily leaving. as in not against your will. What's the truth? Who's right? Despite Russia's attacks, Ukraine has continued to show the world that they will not be taken with ease. They continue to regain ground and have been capturing military vehicles along with other land equipment. As we talked about the past week, the main concern now is making sure Ukrainians can survive the winter. Their government has called for a 20% reduction in energy use, and though civilians have been voluntarily doing this, Ukraine just issued restrictions, which is in effect daily from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. The winters in Ukraine do get very, very cold, so let's all hope families are all safe during this time. Now, I talked in another episode about the possible use of Iranian drones in Ukraine, and the EU and Britain are taking it as a possibility. The EU has imposed sanctions on 3 Iranian generals and an arms firm, while Britain is expected to also release more sanctions. Another incident with Russia and Britain. Apparently, a Russian aircraft released a missile very close to a British plane patrolling international space over the Black Sea. Now, this was attributed to a malfunction by Russia. However, it puts everyone on edge. There was a plane belonging to NATO that a Russian fighter jet flew within 15 feet of. What do you think? Are these actions a show of strength? Or did it just happen coincidentally? Your call. Next up is Daniel.
Thank you, Jai. And speaking of Britain, we just talked about Prime Minister Liz Truss and her failed attempt at a budget. Well, she has just resigned after only 44 days in office, making her the shortest serving Prime Minister in British history. How did this happen? Well, the foundation she was elected on, that of lower taxes and a high growth economy, was widely criticized and affected their market in such a drastic way, it dropped their currency, which is the pound, to a lower rate against the US dollar. Her party, the Conservative Party, is divided, and they have a few days to agree upon a new leader for the party or face another leadership contest. Now moving down to Africa. Man, there's a lot of protests taking place everywhere, starting off in Guinea. Back again with the coups. Back in September of 2021, a junta, or a governing body which promoted restoration to civilian rule, was overtaken by military leaders. Instead of giving power back to the civilians, they proposed a 3-year transition. Well, that hasn't gone over very well, and protests are taking place around the country. At a protest last week, at least 5 were injured. In another one back in July, 4 people were killed, including several injured. And then there was another death in June. Their government simply opens fire on the crowd and disperses tear gas. Man, that's crazy. Now over in Chad, anti-government protests have erupted once again as they seek a quicker transition to democracy after the sudden death of then-President Idris Deby. Now he had been in power over the last 3 decades and reportedly with an iron fist. To keep their legacy and rule alive, his son, Mohammed Idris Deby, decided he would push elections back further until 2024. And he seized power. And just like in Guinea, citizens are not having it. Massive protests have been taking place. It's been reported at least 30 and possibly up to 50 civilians have been killed, with tear gas and rubber bullets being used by police to control the unrest. However, authorities failed to prevent protesters from setting fire to the Prime Minister's party headquarters. According to The Guardian, experts said the turmoil in Chad underlined the deep political challenges facing the troubled I'm gonna butcher this name, Sahel region, I believe, that has seen a series of coups d'etats in key states in recent years as rulers struggle with surging extremist violence and deep social problems. Good thing we discussed what coup d'etats were, since we keep reporting on stories about them. Because they are still going on today, and a lot of them. If you missed it, don't forget, you can always catch the coup d'etat episode on our website at HYFN TV.com on our on-demand playlist. Now let's go back to Jai.
Thank you, Daniel. Now finally, specifically at the Lekki toll gate, demonstrators had tear gas fired at them from the police. Now, this is an interesting one. The protesters were there to mark the anniversary of a peaceful protest gone wrong. How about that? With another peaceful protest gone wrong. Both protests were in demonstration against police brutality. The difference being the police did not use live rounds this time. Excellent. Next, we travel to a whole other continent to talk about South America. Now, former President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva is prepared to go the distance with opponent and incumbent President Jair Bolsonaro. Now, we've talked in length about the past struggles of Lula, including that of conspiracy to keep him from this election. We've also talked about the possibility of Bolsonaro not accepting the result of the election if he loses. Seriously, this stuff is going on all over. If an election happens, I don't know. I guess we'll see how many of the results are accepted in the world. In Brazil's latest polls, the numbers show a close race with Lula at 49% and 45% for Bolsonaro, and of those total voters, at least 96% knew who they wanted to vote for. That means people already have in their mind who they intend to vote for. Not much time left to convince the undecided. We will be keeping a close eye on this battle for sure. Now, over in Cuba, Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez is hoping the UN General Assembly will once again vote to condemn the U.S. trade embargo on their country. Rodriguez states, "It has caused financial losses never seen before and is affecting everyday citizens. The trade embargo, put in place after Cuba's 1959 revolution, prevents American businesses and businesses organized under U.S. law or majority owned by American citizens from conducting trade with Cuban interests. Now, it has been dubbed a hurricane that never ends by Minister Rodriguez, which seems fitting, as Cuba is still repairing damages done by Hurricanes Fiona and Ian. Since the embargo was established, their economy has seen a whopping loss of $154 billion. That's billion dollars. Now, from just August 2021 to February this year, it totaled $3.8 billion. The U.S. maintains it is in order to ensure funds go to the people instead of a government who mishandles funds. However, the opposite is what's going on according to their minister. Also worth noting, the UN General Assembly has now voted to condemn the embargo with a non-binding resolution 30 times now. 30! And guess what? It's expected to get almost unanimous support to condemn this coming November. This works as a perfect segue to heading north to the good old US of A. Back to you, Tiff.
That's right, thank you, Jai. We have Anna Mae Wong, who is an actress, and she is going to be the first Asian American to be featured on the U.S. currency. There is a strong effort currently to put notable women on American quarters as she joins the likes of Maya Angelou, Dr. Sally Ride, Helen Keller, Susan B. Anthony, and many more. Now, Wong, who is considered the first Chinese American film star in Hollywood, is the 5th and final woman to be individually featured on the coin this year. Now next up, we have the amazing James Webb Telescope, which we have also talked about on a prior show. Thank goodness for that on-demand playlist on our website. Anyhow, the James Webb Telescope discovered another breathtaking, literally out of this world image nicknamed the Pillars of Creation. The image is indescribable and leaves you in awe. What the picture actually is are cool, dense clouds of hydrogen gas and dust in the Serpens constellation, which is, get this, 6,500 light years from Earth. I mean, it just blows your mind, blows my mind how far technology has come, so we can now see literally trillions of miles away. As reported by the BBC, the pillars lie at the heart of what astronomers refer to as Messier 16, or the Eagle Nebula. This is an active star-forming region, and Webb, with its infrared detectors, is able to see past much of the light scattering effects of the pillar's dust in order to examine the activity of the newborn suns. Speechless. You do not want to go anywhere. When we come back, we all get to laugh at the mishaps of presidents, but also reminding us nobody is perfect. See you soon. Welcome back. Hope you all had some time to stretch. And now it's time for some laughs. Jai has this report for you.
Thanks, Tiff. Okay. Now, you may have seen the recent videos of President Biden and Trump, making a few, we'll call them blunders throughout speeches he's given or they've given. So we thought, surely there have to be some funny moments in time when other presidents or world leaders made some goofs, So we found a list we found quite hilarious on the Grunge website, along with the Saturday Evening Post. Here are a few of our favorites. First, good old Richard Nixon stated, "Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal." Well, that's the thing. That's not correct. Moving on. When debating Jimmy Carter in 1976, pickup sticks, Gerald Ford declared, "There is no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe." Asked if he truly meant that, the nations held behind the USSR's Iron Curtain weren't dominated by Soviets, he doubled down. Well, there was, in fact, a huge Soviet domination. Jay's got the rest. Over to Jay. And I'm back. Now that didn't clear Carter of mishaps. In December of 1977, Carter visited Warsaw with his translator, Stephen Seymour. However, I wonder if he does. But however, someone should have told President Carter his translator had no idea what he was doing. According to Grunge, what was meant to be a rousing speech affirming America and Poland's shared heritage turned into a comical and tragic scene. Carter started his speech by saying he wanted to understand Poles' desire for the future. Seymour managed to translate this as, "Carter wants carnal knowledge of Polish people." Carter went on to say he was happy to be in Poland. Seymour confidently declared Carter wanting to grab his host's genitals. But wait, there's more. It gets worse. Carter praised the Polish Constitution. Seymour said it was a global object of ridicule. Carter said he had left America on a short trip. Seymour said the president had left his homeland never to return. To top it all off, the icing on the cake, the Reese's shell, Seymour switched to Russian halfway through, apparently without realizing that the only chuckling KGB agents could understand him. Wow. Talk about not getting your message across. Next up, a reporter once asked Dwight Eisenhower what important decisions his vice president, Richard Nixon, had helped him make. Eisenhower replied, "If you give me a week, I might think of one." Ouch. Oh. And now talk about giving a scare. Back in a 1984 radio broadcast, Ronald Reagan was asked to speak into the microphone for a sound check. Jokingly, he said, "My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes." A recording was released and predictably put the Soviet forces on high alert. Thank goodness. I mean, could you imagine the panic? And finally, back one cozy evening, On the Tonight Show with my favorite Tonight Show host ever, Jay Leno, Barack Obama was asked about a recent bowling event. It's Halloween, I'm thinking, howling, but it's a bowling event. He said, "I bowled a 129. Leno replied sarcastically, "That's very good, Mr. President." And the president added, "It's like the Special Olympics or something." Even before the taped show could be aired, the White House recognized the insult to participants in the Special Olympics, and campaigned apologies began. Back to you, Tiff.
Thank you, Jai. Well, so we can all see we are all just human. All of us make mistakes. That does not make everyone a bad person. Nobody is perfect. Now, when we come back, Daniel's giving us the laughs and memories with this day in history. See you soon back on Next Gen News.
We are back. All kinds of things happened in the past on this day, October 21st. It's this day in history. You know what time it is. This is a little shorter version though, so let's get started. Back in 1520, Ferdinand Magellan had his fleet become the first Europeans to sail into the Pacific Ocean. Okay, if you're going to be remembered as the first for something, being the first to sail into any ocean is a GOAT move, because that's crazy. Nobody before you had ever sailed the seas. They had no idea what you were even doing out there. Anyway, moving forward, in 1774, the first display of the word liberty on a flag was raided by colonists in Massachusetts. This was in defiance to British rule in colonial America. Seems to be what the world is all about. People wanting to live their lives how they want, and someone else always trying to tell them otherwise. Shoot, that sounds like a parent-kid relationship kinda, no? Next, in 1959, the famous Guggenheim Museum, which was designed by none other than Frank Lloyd Wright, opened its doors. The Guggenheim is an art museum and the permanent home of a continuously expanding collection of Impressionist, Post-Impressionist, early modern, and contemporary art, and also features special exhibitions throughout the year. And finally, I mean, these are definitely not all the events that have ever happened on this day, but last for us here on the update, not so long ago in 2020, the FBI said Iran and Russia have US voter information and are trying to influence the outcome of US elections. And today, the governments of US, Russia, and Iran are still having their battles. I mean, I'm sure you've heard what's going on. At least you would if you made sure to tune into the update throughout the week, because we're definitely letting you know. Now, anyway, let's close it off with Tiff.
That's right, you can catch all of the update and future shows. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we are going to talk about this beautiful state of Arizona.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh man, been around the world and I really love my AZ. Oh, beautiful weather, lovely sunsets all day. That's my AZ, and it is time for the Arizona State News. Now, before we get to the state news, a little programming note. It is our job and our mission to make sure we bring you relevant and up-to-date information, free and accessible right at your fingertips at HYFNTV.com or on our Roku channel, that's HYFN TV. We're the only on-demand news network, so you can watch and rewatch our episodes at your convenience. We are the 2022 Election News Leaders in an election year where many upcoming elections will determine the balances of power. And in holding true to our mission, we're streaming all gubernatorial and legislative debates right here on HYFN TV. That said, tune in Friday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Arizona time when we will air the Katie Hobbs sit-down with PBS Horizons and Carrie Lake sit-down with ABC back-to-back for your information and informed decision-making at the polls on November 8th. After which, you can watch them anytime on demand at HYFNTV.com. Now, a development specifically in regards to Carrie Lake and Katie Hobbs. Now, two of the hottest button topics nationwide, but especially in Arizona, are abortion and border security. This is of course the case due to the recent landmark Supreme Court case Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, which overturned Roe versus Wade, stating that the Constitution never had a written law granting anyone abortion rights. Now, having done so, they basically put the ball back in the state's courts, and this means the voters in each state can vote on bills regarding abortion. But that means being informed on the specific initiatives or rights each bill is proposing, and physically voting, of course. November 8th will be here before we know it, and if you haven't registered to vote, it's a little late for these midterm elections, but never too late to catch the next one. So, what did Arizona gubernatorial candidates have to say regarding abortion? PBS Horizons asked Katie Hobbs to clarify her view on Arizona abortion law, and here's what she had to say when asked if she would support the 15-week Arizona abortion ban now in effect. She said, "I do not support that law. I did not support that law when it passed and signed by the governor. It is an extreme ban and also includes no exceptions for rape or incest. This is the kind of ban that creates confusion and chaos for people that need this health care and could potentially put women's lives at risk. The other law that is potentially going to be in effect, the Civil War era law, bans all abortions. My opponent has said that's a great law and called women who seek abortions executioners and murderers. Hobbs states abortion is health care, and healthcare should be left to medical providers who have the expertise. The decision to have an abortion should be between a woman and her doctor. And there is no one-size-fits-all limit that's going to address really extreme circumstances. This idea that there's rampant late-term abortion is just false. It's incredible, and when that happens, it's devastating to a woman and her family. They're having this discussion because something has gone terribly wrong. Now, switching sides to Carrie Lake's view that she shared during her sit-down with ABC. Lake asserted that she is pro-life and wants to save as many babies as possible. I want to help women. On that day when they're making a difficult decision, I want to give them options. I want to let them know there are ways you can have this baby and be a mother. There are so many centers out there where women can get the prenatal help and care they need, and many of them would choose to keep the baby, maybe find an adoptive family. I want women to have access to birth control, free birth control if need be. I don't think being pro-life is drastic. She stated Katie Hobbs voted down legislation that would have provided a baby with medical help if a baby were to survive abortion. Now, being the 2022 election news leaders, when I heard that, I wanted to research if it was true. So yes, the particular legislation that Lake referenced did exist, and Hobbs did vote against it. But what were the current laws at the time, and what exactly was that bill proposing? Tiffany has the rest of this report.
Thank you, Jai. So the vote in question occurred back in 2017 when Katie Hobbs was a senator. The bill would require physicians to use all available means and medical skills to promote, preserve, and maintain the life if a baby emerges alive from an abortion. Furthermore, the bill passing gave doctors the responsibility and placed the decision in their hands to stop medical care on that infant if the only result would be prolonging death. So what pre-existing laws were in place leading up to said legislation? Well, it seems like there are two pieces of legislation that could be applied. First, we have the 1984 Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. Its goal was to protect children with disabilities, so of course this could pertain to abortion survivors, as many deformities and ailments are statistically present with many said infants. Second is the Born Alive Infants Protection Act of 2002, which rightly named, protected infants born at any stage of development. So, with these already in place at the time of the vote in question, physicians were already required to take all possible actions to save an aborted baby's life, unless the result would simply be delaying death. So, did Katie Hobbs' vote back in 2017 mean that she was striking down efforts to give medical care to aborted babies who survive and have chances of surviving? Doesn't appear so, but you be the judge. Is Carrie Lake's view too right-wing, too Christian, or is Katie Hobbs way left and doesn't care about saving babies? Well, we're just here to arm you with the facts. The decision is yours. And like we mentioned earlier, we will be airing these sit-downs with Carrie Lake and Katie Hobbs tonight. That's October 21st, back-to-back starting at 6 p.m., and we'll add them to our on-demand collection as well. You're tuning in to the 2022 election news leaders, your unbiased friends, here on The Update. See you in a few.
Welcome back, friends. If you're just joining us, this is the update, bringing you the Arizona State news. Now be sure to download the HYFN TV channel on your Roku so you can rewatch our shows and catch all the updates and content from us here on the HYFN TV network. Now, let's kick it over to Daniel, who's going to catch us up on 2 recent developments dealing with Election Day and how Checks and Balances is seemingly doing its job to make sure every vote counts. Daniel?
Thank you, Jai. That's right, folks. November 8th, midterm elections are right around the corner. Now, right here in Arizona, we have a polling location case that's been referred to the United States Department of Justice. Let's take a look. According to CNN's report, the alleged victim claims that while attempting to drop off their mail-in ballot to an early voting drop box, they were approached and followed by a group of people. Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer stated in a news conference that people had been recording voters dropping off their mail-in ballots at the Mesa drop box. But this complaint is a new escalation from those initial reports. A representative from the Department of Justice did not comment. Now, this is not the first time a claim has been made that voting drop boxes are not secure. Several elected officials, some quite famously in the last couple of years, have publicly stated that they do not trust the result and maybe wouldn't accept results coming from the current setup. Like we say often, folks, we are not here to spin the news, just put it on display, just the facts, so we can all get informed and feel more confident when we are making decisions. Moving on, we all understand how impactful technology is in our lives today. But did you know that as many as sources say, 6,000 Arizona voters were improperly labeled as federal-only voters in the Department of Motor Vehicle System? This indication means that these voters received the wrong ballots that only showed the federal Senate race elections. The issue has been reportedly fixed, and these voters should receive corrected ballots in the mail momentarily. Issues with voting integrity have been at the forefront, and we will continue to update you on all the developments. Now to Tiff for an update on the border wall and the situation with those containers Governor Ducey had put up.
Thank you, Daniel. According to the Associated Press, Arizona is holding it down and standing its ground, and they're replying to the reclamation. Sorry, you may remember we reported that the Bureau of Reclamation ordered Arizona to remove the double-stacked shipping containers, citing trespassing because they were never federally authorized. The Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs disagrees. In an official letter to the Arizona Department stated that the containers will remain in place until specific details regarding construction are provided. Department Director Alan Clark's signature appeared at the bottom of that letter. Until those details come to fruition, border crossers are continuing to illegally enter Arizona by getting really creative and going around, which has upset the Cocopah Indian tribe a bit, citing that President Biden went against their wishes and placed over 40 containers in parts of the wall that go through their land. Now, you may remember President Biden halted construction on the wall his first day in office, meanwhile leaving the hefty contracts in place. He did have certain areas filled in that were deemed unsafe, and we'll keep you in the know as this story develops. Now let's go to Daniel, who will tell us about a cat that went a little too wild. Daniel?
Thank you, Tiff. Now we're going over to Tucson, Arizona, the home of the University of Tucson. They call themselves the Wildcats. The town is known for its wide selection of Mexican restaurants, being close to the Mexico border as well, and mostly for housing U of A. Earlier this month, however, many Tucson residents and U of A alums were taken aback to hear of a tragedy that always sticks out. On Wednesday, a former University of Phoenix graduate student, Murad Dervish returned to the campus with a 9mm handgun and let 11 shots ring out when he entered the Harshbarger building. Dervish, who had previously been expelled for harassing and threatening university staff and was on the campus watch list, said he felt disrespected by that whole department. His words were, "I was going to shoot myself, kill myself, but just couldn't." The slain professor, though, Thomas Meixner, was the head of the Department of Hydrology and Atmospheric Sciences. He, in fact, was just beginning on a project with NAU professor Dr. Abe Springer to create more sustainable water sources for Arizona. God knows we need those. That project was set to take about 3 years amidst this current water drought that we've been reporting on. So we're definitely hoping that they could still jump into that project. The good news is that authorities finally did catch up to Dervish, who may have initially been resisting arrest. He is now being held without bond and has been indicted on 7 felony charges, including first-degree murder, and is set to be arraigned next week. Now, from crazy cats to Tweety birds, this next story might have you in the nosebleeds. I gotta take my little break during the update to get my sports craving. Now, according to the Associated Press, a Phoenix Suns ticket office executive, former ticket office executive, has been sentenced to a year in jail and 3 years of probation for selling extra tickets to pad his own pockets. Man, that's unfortunate, right? But the Attorney General's office says Jeffrey Allen Markison sold the extra tickets to a third-party ticket vendor. He has since been charged with 1 count of fraud scheme, 1 count of theft, and 2 counts of false return. Get this, the proceeds reportedly totaled around $450,000. He was filling those pockets good. Markison has reportedly paid the money back, along with the taxes that would have been imposed. Hopefully that retribution has begun, whatever self-growth process may be needed, in addition to the jail time, for him to do better in the future, man. But that ain't none of my business anyway. You're watching the state news here on the update on HYFN TV. We'll be right back, folks.
Welcome back. You're watching The Update, and this is the Arizona State News. Find this segment and all of them on demand at HYFNTV.com. Don't forget to tune in tonight at 6 p.m. to see Katie Hobbs and Carrie Lake's individual sit-downs back-to-back, right here on HYFN TV. And now, let's go to Tiffany, who has our 7-day forecast.
What is up, everyone? Now, I'm sure anyone in Arizona pretty much will agree that our mornings and evenings have been to die for. Definitely one of my favorite reasons to live in Arizona. And looking at the week ahead, we will see our temperatures continue to drop. It looks like we'll have the same type of cool, chilly Halloween like we're used to, with the highs around 90 today, then dipping into the mid-80s for Saturday and into the 70s on Sunday. We may also see some of the back and forth highs next week between the mid-70s and 80 degrees on the highs, and lows right now heading into next week, seemingly in the 50s. So if you like the cool, crisp, cool mornings, maybe a great time to go out for a hike or a run, get up early and enjoy all of that. And if you like sitting on the porch at night enjoying the calm, it should be prime weather for that. We may have some showers this weekend, and as we head into the later part of next week. And that's about it for the weather, so let's go to Daniel for sports.
Alright, from every close run in 93 to Nash being checked into the boards, crooked referees, missed trades, the Phoenix Suns have had anything but an easy road to championships, or even to get past the first round of the playoffs. Last season, however, our boys in purple and orange came to play all season long, crushed it. They were at the top of the league and were looking quite solid even going into Game 7. But unlike the way that series ended last year, earlier this week the Suns got redemption. It was the season opener at the Footprint Center in Phoenix, and after trailing by 22 points in the first half, defense and that run and gun style Phoenix loves so much came out to play. The Suns were down by 5 with 12 minutes to go, even after trailing by 15 in the fourth quarter. It was crunch time, so Devin Booker came back into the game with about 8 minutes left and turned it on. They went on an 18-7 run and ended up winning the game 107 to 105. That's what we call rising from the ashes right there. I guess they're holding true to the team name. Way to go, Phoenix. And the Cardinals played the Saints last night. They do get DeAndre Hopkins back after the lengthy PED suspension. Wishing the Bird Gang the best. They got the dub last night, actually, winning with a solid lead for sure. I'm glad they're turning the season around, and I'm looking forward to the rest. Now let's go to Jai.
Thank you, Daniel. And you can catch Daniel on the Varsity Squad show every day in our lineup as well. So thank you there, and awesome work to our boys putting in work on and off the field. I think sports is something many of us enjoy because tapping into something bigger than us, where all those people are sending their faves, all those wishes to come out on top, it could truly be electrifying. Like, I remember when I was young, we go to Suns games, they do the intros, like, you know, like, man, it was a trip. And you would just, everyone's on their feet going nuts. Now, folks, I'm a bit thrown off by this next story, but the Associated Press wrote about this man. Now, he was the Republican candidate for the Maricopa County Community College Governing Board. But then, a police officer found Randy Kaufman parked at Rio Salato's Surprise Learning Center, right next door to a preschool, while performing a sexually indecent act on himself, allegedly. Now, this may end up being a felony because of his proximity to the preschool during the act and arrest. In his statement, he stated, "A personal legal matter has recently arisen, and I need to step out of the race to focus on personal affairs. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office is currently reviewing the case, and we will keep you informed." And now for some breaking news. Law enforcement in Nevada and Arizona are looking for our help to find a man they believe is connected to two murders that both happened this week. Channel 8 out of Golden Valley, Arizona, reported that a murder took place there sometime between Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, according to the Mojave County Sheriff's Department. Additionally, law enforcement in Las Vegas responded to reported gunshots to find a woman who had been shot. She later died at the hospital, and police believe the same man, Hunter Allen McGuire, was living with the woman and may be either responsible for or have information about the fatal shooting. Now, he has been known to frequent Las Vegas and Kingman, among other Arizona cities. Police are asking us to keep an eye out for the vehicle the suspect was last seen in, which was a gray or silver Hyundai Elantra with Arizona plates K8A1B2A. If you see those plates or you think you see him, we are advised to not approach him as he may be quite dangerous, but instead to call 911. Wow. I hope there's a peaceful resolution there. Now, we'll see you after the break. Make sure you hug your loved ones and be safe out there. We'll see you in a few for Fitness Fridays and a few events going on this weekend. For all my fellow 90s childs, BRB, yo. Welcome back to the update, everyone. Now, we like to do a segment called Fitness Fridays. So I thought, hey, why not chat for a second about what that means to us and do a little quick stretch so that we can all head into this weekend feeling nice and relaxed and unblocked, right? So, what does fitness mean to you? Well, for me, fitness, if I think about that word, I'm just talking about my overall health of this being, right? Everything that makes this up. So some of that might be mental state, right? But what we know is a good portion of the immune system sits in the gut, right? So the way we eat goes a really long way. And I'm going to add one to that and say, when we get up at the start of each day, if we can just declutter the stuff out of here that's not serving us, it's just been sitting there dormant, get that out of there, get the energy moving. And, they used to tell us something in theater classes. They'd say, motion creates emotion. And I find that really kind of hits. If I ever need to shake it up, if I'm ever in a mood, I just need to go get a walk in, So let's do this. Try this. Close your eyes for a second. And just take note of what's going on. Feel the sensation of your breath, right? Let's take a big deep breath in, sit up straight. And then just try to make sure you're not, tensing up anywhere. Feel how beautiful it feels to just hold that life force and let it slow you down. So after you've enjoyed that, repeat that as many times as you want. And now try this one. Have your hands meet out in front of you and push them together a bit. Now bring those hands up above your head and we're going to push back, putting the pressure in our shoulders and pressing that all back till you get a nice pop in your back. And then you reach up nice and tall and let it go. And we shake it out. And I'm feeling good. How about you, Daniel? Give us a good stretch.
Hey, man, I don't really know too much stretching. Although if you could see my legs, they're sitting in butterfly position right now, stretching real good. But I personally like for Fitness Fridays to play some basketball. That's where I like to get my cardio. Lifting weights is cool and all, but I mean, swishing a 3-ball, that seems a lot more fun to me. I don't know. What about you, Tiff? What do you like to do for fitness?
Well, I like to keep it simple. First, I'll go on an app on my TV, do a quick little 5-10 minute yoga stretch. Like Jai was saying, it's good to find that center and create that positive energy. And then I also like to throw in my earbuds and go for a run or a walk while listening to motivational books or, something that helps make me feel empowered. So, hope those were some great tips for you guys. That's going to do it for us here on the show. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Daniel.
Yes, I'm Jai. Bye for now. Welcome to the hobby, the favorite chill spot where we talk all things entertainment. Yes, we're back in the lab with Tiff and Daniel. What's up, guys?
Hi.
What's up?
Hey, y'all ready to check out some upcoming releases?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Woo, let's go. So we like to get ready for the weekend movies.
The weekend.
Let's get it. Now this has been a highly anticipated release. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, one of the world's largest, most known entertainers, gets his superhero debut in DC's Black Adam. What you guys think about that?
I love The Rock.
The Rock is cool, but DC, we'll see.
Yeah,
see.
right on that.
DC, we'll see. I
Yeah,
like
we'll
that.
see.
I like that. Man, I remember watching The Rock back in the days, like Rocky Maivia,
Yes.
WWF. He had that
Yep.
rock bottom. Can you smell now? What the rock is cooking?
And one eyebrow.
The rock has come
yeah.
back. Yeah. Man, gotta love it. Love seeing that dude win. The Rock has worn spandex several times, so we'll see how he does in this one.
Quite a bit through his career.
Do you think they have to be custom made? He's a big dude. Anyways, nothing but love. Don't beat me up. All right. Now, yet another early on, the good old resume way to add it onto their Rock. On to Tiff.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yes.
We have, say that 3 times.
Yeah.
We have Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson seemingly have some awesome chemistry as longtime friends who call it quits, and obviously their lives have been entangled for a long time, so it may produce some seriously funny moments. We shall see. Daniel?
All right, we've got George Clooney and Julia Roberts. They've had awesome on-screen chemistry, a beautiful relationship. I mean, a friendship in real life.
Oh.
Ooh. And now, their child is getting married. That's the log line for Ticket to Paradise.
Oh.
Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
Ticket to Paradise. I think I can speak for many of us when I say it's going to be exciting to see their next chapter. It's almost as if they're characters from Oceans, you know, erased a little bit of the details. Got to try. They had a little do-over, right? Can't wait to see that one.
I like it. And a father and daughter drama for us on the next one. We've got a film here that captures some of what must be some of parenting's most like intense moments, like daddy and daughter type of stuff. And you know, when that's recreated, like those parenting moments, like those super heartfelt moments, when that's done well cinematically, like that pulls, like that tugs at your heartstrings, as they say. And so, you know, anyone who maybe needs a little emotional release, you know, going through it, go check this film out, you know, let those tears melt away that anxiety, you know, it's all good. That movie's called After Sun.
Sounds like a good one. Now imagine this. You're social media famous, millions upon millions of subscribers. Anything you do pretty much turns to social and literal gold. And then you get invited, along with some other super famous people, to come consult a company.
Okay.
And then on your way, a vampire hunter warned you that you're in danger.
Huh.
But just like the last time your mom told you to stay away from that guy, you didn't listen. You kept going. The anticipation growing minute by minute until at last you have to go see the film to see what happens.
Oh, so good.
That was a great breakdown.
You built that climax up like crazy.
And then you go, and then it drops.
And then just let it go. Go see the movie.
Now to Daniel for some events going on around the valley this weekend.
Alright, so pretty much we're already in holiday mode. Halloween parties and festivities are jumping off all month. This weekend especially. If you're in the West Valley, there's a Soul West Fest going on at Harkins Theater, Park West 14 in Peoria. Downtown Phoenix has the Fall Festival going on for the whole family. It's being put on by the church at South Mountain, and it's free. Perfect. If you're a jazz fan, just put your ear up to your door this weekend and let that groove move your feet to the Arizona Jazz Fest. Ooh, happening on High Street all weekend long. I bet there's some dope vibes over there, man. Probably a great time, great music. This event looks amazing for any visual art or creative fans as National Theater Live brings Frankenstein to the Phoenix Art Museum. Perfect month to be doing that. But they have a special treat or two. Benedict Cumberbatch is bringing the creature to life. What? And Johnny Lee Miller from Trainspotting will share the stage as well. It's being directed by Slumdog Millionaire and Trainspotting director, Academy winner, Danny Boyle. What a treat that's going to be. Tickets are $15 to $28. And that right there, folks, is going to wrap it up for today. That's Hubby. Thanks for joining us here in the lab. I'm Daniel.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Jai. We'll see you next time.